You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good Friday morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And good morning, I'm Lisa Wysocki. I'm in Mound, Minnesota, and you are listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Friday, July 5th, episode 3469. This episode is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Good morning, Horse World.
It's Friday, and another weekend of riding is a few short hours away. Jamie and Glenn are here to help you make it through the day with some fun guests and some really bad ads. Enjoy the show.
Well, no Jamie today. She's actually in Florida, heading to Florida today for her mom's services, so she'll be out today and Monday. Lisa, thank you for filling in. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
And we do have a fun show planned for you today. We have, returning to the show, Angela Fanning. She's a homesteader, and she's going to join us with some pointers on making your horse farm into more of a homestead. Plus, then we have Elizabeth Gonzalez Tinnan, a world record mounted archer of 15 years, is going to give us some advice on getting started in mounted archery. Plus, Lisa had a little trip to LA and got to meet some famous people. So I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that on the show. So we're going to do that too. I'm a little tired this morning. As I have said before, the house we're selling in a week, is in a neighborhood. It's a pretty densely populated neighborhood, and we probably are the only white people on the block. It's mostly Spanish all around us, and they love their fireworks. Oh my God, it sounded like World War III last night.
So you were up all night.
Oh, till about 1 o'clock. Jennifer, of course, sleeps through everything, which pisses me off. But I'm up, and I thought last night, instead of laying in bed, I mean, they're right outside on our street, and they all go in the middle of the street and shoot them off. Thank God we had a lot of rain. Nobody's house burnt down.
That's good.
But it was loud, and at one point it did sound like a battle out there. It was just
So could you at least see the fireworks?
No, because we have a lot of trees and stuff, so we can't even see them. So yeah, it's not that; it's just very loud.
Yes.
So anyway,
yes.
that was my night till about 1 o'clock. So I'm a little tired today.
Yeah. So I got lucky, Glenn. I'm here in Minnesota. I'm on the lake, and I got to just go down to the dock and sit and watch all the fireworks just across the lake. And there were 10 or 12 different areas. It was just, and then all the reflection on the water. It was great.
That does sound fun.
And it was so far away, that you didn't get like the big kaboom. You could hear it, but not like you.
Are you amazed at how much people spend on fireworks?
Yes. Private people, all these things that I was watching. I mean, these are private citizens who probably spent, $5,000 because they were going off in the same location for an hour.
Now, Ocala did something a little different this year. Instead of doing fireworks, they hired one of those drone show companies.
Oh.
And they did a drone show. And I didn't get to go into that. That would have been fun to go watch. And apparently it was pretty cool. So,
that would be great.
Quieter. And apparently it was packed. People came out because, who's seen drone shows? Not too many of us, right?
No. Oh, that's wonderful.
The one cruise the Horse Lovers cruise we were on last, they have an ice rink and they do ice skating shows. And at the beginning of the ice skating show, they actually had maybe 10 or 12 drones that they did a drone show. They turned all the lights down. Yeah. And they had the drones lit up, and they did that right in the ice skating rink inside the ship. It was cool.
I bet that was neat.
It was cool. So, yeah, I would have loved to see the drone show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would have been great.
I saw pictures. They did have horses. Of course, it's a Ocala drone show. So there were drones doing running horses and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that was cool.
Oh, yeah. And not the noise, as you said, and then we don't have to sedate our dogs and all of that, and horses.
I'm sure all of you right now who were complaining about the neighbors are a little tired this morning.
Yes.
Now, do you have that? You live in Tennessee, which I can imagine the amount of fireworks. I wonder what the biggest state is. Tennessee has to be up there.
Probably. So people will shoot fireworks off for any reason, in Tennessee. So even though I'm not there, I will have, I don't know, hey, it's happy August 16th, and let's shoot off some fireworks, So yeah, it's frequent. It's a frequent thing. And our horses, they don't bother it. And we can hear the fireworks from like Ashland City, which is, as the crow flies, maybe about 3 or 4 miles away. But the horses, they don't, it's so old hat to them at this point, it doesn't bother them.
And you kind of live on a hill above Nashville. I imagine if you went to some lookout up there, you could see fireworks all over the place below you.
Oh, I'm sure if I just drove up the hill, it would be everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Well, and I'm sure we're going to have more tonight because there'll be some that have some left or went to the 50% off sale at the tent.
Oh, yes.
Picked them up. So
yes.
I'm sure there'll be more continuing. All right, let's do some Daily Whinnies. We have a couple of auditor birthdays today. Ariel Wolf, Nicole Vita, and Samantha DeGroot. Happy birthday to all of you. And a very special happy birthday to my first co-host in 2008, Helena Harris. It's her birthday, too.
Woo-hoo.
So happy birthday, Helena.
So my daily whinny goes to all of the volunteers who are taking care of the horses at Colby's Army while I'm away. I mean, it takes an army, obviously, of people to come and hose down the horses because, of course, Glenn, it's, like where you are, it's 110. Yeah, exactly. So the horses are getting hosed, and there's morning feeders and evening feeders and pooper scoopers. And I mean, it's an army of people. And I'm just so grateful to all of them for taking such good care of the herd while I'm gone.
That's the only reason you would never go anywhere if you didn't have those people.
Well, I think that's true of a lot of horse people.
Well, it's true. Yeah. It is true.
You just have to have those core people who, you can trust and count on, and you can leave with a happy heart and just say, hey, I know it's all going to be fine.
Well, and yours you also do deliveries and stuff to the homeless there.
Oh, yeah.
Does that still happen while you're gone?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a regular Tuesday crew, and everybody's good, and we've got, it's down to a science, so it's all taken care of, and it's nice.
Do they know when you're coming and where to meet you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we stay in touch with them throughout the week, and but every Tuesday we have about 27 stops that we make with 2 different driving teams. Yeah, we see we've got over 100 on our list right now that we see, but we don't see everybody every week.
God, the homeless right now in this heat. Ugh.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah.
It's got to be awful.
It's awful for everybody.
Well, let's talk about something a little more exciting. So, a couple of weeks ago, you went to LA. So give everybody the story and tell us about it. I haven't even got to talk to you about it too much.
Yeah. So, so I did with the Celebs with Horses with my podcast. I interviewed William Shatner a while back, and Glenn, you produced that episode, and that was just so much fun, and he was just such a delight, and of course it won at American Horse Publications. Yes. I'm so proud of that. It won Podcast of the Year, so that was exciting. But so I got this call from somebody in William Shatner's camp who said he had this charity horse show and would I like to come? And then they'd send me a ticket. I'm like, oh, that would be great. Yeah, that's awesome. So my publisher for the Cat Enright series lives in LA, and they also know William Shatner. They actually were my hookup for him to get him on the show. So my publisher said, yeah, come on out. You can stay with us and we'll go too. And I said, well, that's great. And so I had some points on Southwest. So I'm flying out to LA, and it was at the Hollywood the Equestrian Center there, which is massive and very spread out. And so we get there, Glenn, and we get to the horse show, and we're toward the end because we wanted to stay for the dinner and the celebration and all of that. But we get in there, and it's a reining competition, and there's a horse in there doing the reining pattern, and the announcer is William Shatner.
Oh, wow.
So he's announcing this horse show, and honestly, it's pretty hot. And you can tell he's been there like most of the afternoon announcing the horse show, and he's telling everybody about the reining pattern and what makes a good reining horse. I mean, really, I mean, you know this. He knows his stuff. I mean, he's a horse guy.
Yeah,
Definitely.
he knows his stuff, and he gets real serious about knowing his stuff too.
Oh yeah. Oh, very serious, very serious. So he was doing all of that and really educating all the people, and then we go in, you know, to it's a big dinner, and it was great. I mean, they had all kinds of shrimp and I mean all kinds of really cool food. So we're sitting at this table with the guy who co-authored Bill's last book, and with one of his best friends whose grandfather founded the Ready Whip company. That's all I remember about that. But so Bill comes around, and I get to meet him finally, and it's such a wonderful guy. Of course, he was hot from the horse show, and you know, wearing his boots and his dusty jacket and the whole thing. You know, I mean, just. If he wasn't William Shatner, he would just look just like a regular horse guy. And he's 93, Glenn. 93. He looks, I mean, up close. Yeah, I mean, up close, he looks 70. I mean, he looks really good.
Wow, I mean, he used to be able to do all this at 93.
I know, to announce the horse show for the whole afternoon, and again, it was hot and humid there, and then to do this whole thing, and he was greeting everybody, and you know, got to chat with him for a little bit, and you know, just such a nice.
Now, did he remember who you were?
Yeah. And it was just a really nice conversation. And then of course he emceed the whole show that evening. They had some musical guests and, you know, some other things. And so he thanked all the sponsors and emceed everything. And I mean, he looked hot, but I mean, who wouldn't? But other than that, you know, he was going strong when we left. If
you would have picked anybody from that Star Wars cast that you would have told me they were going to live to 93, he's not the one I would have picked.
No, not at all. And
Star Trek, rather. Sorry, got that.
Star Trek. Yeah, I knew what you meant. We all knew what you meant. But, you know, he's so busy, you know, he's doing, you know, commercials, and he's doing shows, and he's got a production company, and, you know, he rides his horses every day. And, you know, I think that's what's keeping him young. Wow. To be sure.
So did you meet any other celebrities?
Yeah, so I got to meet Tom Bergeron from Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, he's a good friend of Bill's, and he was great and very
Does he have horses?
No, he's just a friend of Bill's.
Okay.
Yeah. And but he was he was funny. He was really funny, and very self-depreciating about him not being on Dancing with the Stars, and had some pretty good quips about that. So he was just great too, and was exactly like you saw him on TV. I mean, that's exactly his personality and everything. So that was great.
So who else did you see? Did you see Kaylee Kuko?
Did not, Glenn. You know, and I was going to tell her, you know, that you know, all about
She's
you.
She's avoiding us.
I know. So did not see her, but I got to see Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas, and so I might be editing a book that she's doing. So.
Cool.
Yeah, and they were one of my favorite groups back in the day.
Had you ever met them in Nashville?
Not in Nashville, no. And she's the only surviving member.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, she has to be up there, too.
She's 80, and I've met her before. And but she's just funny. I mean, she has so many stories that, you know, she's said she's just waiting a little longer. Some more people have to die before she gets out the stories.
She has to outlive them first.
She does. But, you know, she's China Phillips's mom. And a lot of people know Wilson Phillips, the girl group. And so she's just wonderful. So it was a really quick trip. I was there, I think, 3 or 4 days, and in addition to that, I got new headshots done, and I
saw some of those.
Well, I'm going to put 2 of them up on in the auditor room and let people decide. I talked to my publisher, and we're trying to decide which of the 2 to go on the back of the next Cat Enright book.
Yeah,
and so
there you go.
I thought, just the auditors decide. We'll do that, and the publisher said, sure.
They look really good, though.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was good. And then we're moving to getting the pilot ready for the Cat and Right thing. So we're moving forward with that.
For the TV series?
Yeah.
Does it have a working title?
Not yet.
No?
No, not yet.
But does that mean they've cast it and everything at this point?
No, we're working on it. So we've got we've done what's called a pitch deck, and that's where we put like a ton of photos in of people who look like the characters or who could play the characters, and then the producers kind of narrow it down from that. So,
and are there any talk about where this is going to be filmed? Will it be in Canada?
Well, Canada's a distinct possibility only because they offer all kinds of financial incentives.
There's a lot being done there now. That and Atlanta, those two.
Yes, Atlanta. But I'm really shooting for Tennessee, and there is some money there. We've got somebody who is going after some of that money to see if that's a possibility. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, being that it's set in Tennessee.
Yeah. And I think it's just going to fall down to what's going to be the most affordable, because it is all about the dollars and how much incentive money or grant money can you get.
And like most series, the first year they scrimp and they spend as little money as possible, and then if it takes off, then the money starts to flow. Yes, and this is actually even just a pilot, so it's going to be even less money than that. Yeah. So, I mean, even Game of Thrones, their first year, they tried to spend as little money as possible, and then the real money started coming in the second year. Yeah. I think everybody wants to know that it's going to be a viable thing. So, and then a lot of times the people that are working in the pilot never end up on the series. That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I mean, MASH was a big one. Yes. They swapped out a lot of people. Almost everybody. Yes. And thankfully, because I didn't like I thought the series was much better than the movie. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. So anyway, it's been a busy couple of weeks, really. So that's good. Yay. Yeah. And I know you're quieter this time of year as far as giving lessons and everything's concerned. Yeah. So we just finished our spring session, and we actually canceled the last week just because it was just so brutally hot. I mean. Yeah. You just can't, and it's not fair to the horses or the leaders or the riders. It's not fair to anybody. Yeah, we've been at about 110 real field temperature here every day. I mean, we've had heat warnings every day. It's just, and Jennifer and I went out to the farm yesterday morning to see if the well people had made any progress, and it looks like they left on Tuesday at 220 feet and haven't come back. So what's going on there? But we were out there. We worked for about 3 hours, and it was 9:30, 10 o'clock. We got there early, and by 10 o'clock, it was like, okay, I'm done. Just too hot. It is. Hose the horses off, bring them in, put them under the fans. Yeah, so now, do your horses like being hosed off? Oh, they love it. As a matter of fact, Jennifer yesterday when we stopped at the barn, she'd been going out about noon every day and bringing them in. And she hoses them off first. And Nigel has the non-sweating thing. Yes, we have one of those too. Now she has. She was going to come on and talk to us. Maybe I'll get her to do that next week. She's going to tell us what she's been using, but he's sweating a little now with what he's been using or what she's been using, which I don't know what that is. So we'll let her come on and tell that. But so we hose Nigel off, and Scooter walks right up and stands beside Nigel to get hosed off. He just comes in and waits in line. We have three. We have three who love being hosed off, and they will fight you for the stream, the water stream, but our mare Tessie, she hates it. She just hates it. And so we have to, put a halter on her and stand there and halter her. And she will give you the dirtiest look, the evil eye. I mean, oh my goodness, the ugliest face. She just hates it. All right, well, let's get to our first guest. We have Angela Fanning. She's the author of The Sustainable Homestead, Create a Thriving Permaculture Ecosystem with Your Garden, Animals, and Land. I can't even say the title of the book. So she has a farm in New Jersey that's a homestead, and it's a 6-acre farm in central New Jersey. She has draft horses there, Clydesdales, that help out at the farm, and she has geese, and she has an apiary, which I didn't know an apiary was a beehive. Yes. So it's kind of makes sense because an apiary is birds. So an apiary is beehive. She has sheep. She has an orchard. All this stuff that she does there, and she's kind of an expert on homesteading. She's going to help you out with your little farm and some of the things you can do to be like a mini homesteader. And that's coming up right after this word from Kentucky Performance Products. And hang out till the end of the show. We have some good, really bad ads.
This nutritional minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Electrolytes. Who needs them? Your horse, that's who. Electrolytes perform critical functions within your horse's body. They help regulate nerve and muscle functions by carrying electrical impulses between cells. In addition, electrolytes assist the body in maintaining a healthy fluid balance by controlling your horse's desire to drink. When your horse loses significant amounts of electrolytes and fluids, problems such as dehydration, muscle cramping, fatigue, tying up, and colic may occur. Even in mild forms, these conditions can have a negative impact on your horse's ability to perform and recover after exercise. Horses that are ridden regularly or those that live in hot, humid climates may lose more electrolytes than their bodies are capable of replacing with a normal diet. In these instances, it is necessary to replenish lost electrolytes and keep your horse drinking. Summer Games Electrolyte replenishes the electrolytes and trace minerals lost when your horse sweats, and it stimulates the thirst response so your horse continues to drink and stay properly hydrated. Summer Games was developed for the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. Trust Summer Games Electrolyte to protect your horse when the going gets hot. To learn more, visit kppusa.com. Got questions about your feeding program? We can help. Email Karen at questions@kppusa.com or call us at 859-873-2974.
Angela, it's so good to have you back.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to come back.
Well, we had you on, I think, in 2019 or somewhere around there, then COVID hit and the world changed. We were just, I don't know. Doesn't that seem like 20 years ago? Pre-COVID seems like 10, 20 years ago now. It's just weird. So, Angela, I told everybody about your homestead there in central New Jersey. And since we talked last, I mean, homesteading's been around obviously a while, but it kind of used to be the hippies of the world who did homesteading. And how has that changed over the last 10 years? Homesteading is a thing now, a big thing.
It's a thing. It's a movement. And I think, you mentioned COVID, the pandemic. I think that sort of lit a fire under a lot of people. And when nobody could leave their house to go to the grocery store, there was a bit of a panic, right?
Yep.
Toilet paper aside, people started to feel food scarcity. And so you started seeing victory gardens pop up, and people kind of decided, oh, hey, maybe it would be good if I had a little bit of self-sufficiency when it comes to some sort of food source, whether that's just a couple of vegetables like a tomato and a pepper or a pea, or maybe that could be homemade bread, and some people really just sort of gained momentum and started learning these skills and became homesteaders. And I think too, you always have things like food recalls that we see in the news, and that gives people, not a great sense of confidence in where their food is coming from. So I think it's a culmination of a lot of things.
And Angela, inflation. I mean, that's been a big
prices.
One. Yeah.
Prices, or maybe some people are climate driven. I think there's a lot of different sources of inspiration for people trying to grow their own food or get back more to a handmade or homemade lifestyle.
So when somebody says to you, what's a homestead? What's your answer?
Yeah, I think a homestead is just trying to live more mindfully with the seasons, eating more locally, and trying to get back to basics and trying to really immerse yourself in nature and what's going on around you. We live in such a digital age, and all this online information, our heads are glued to our phones, and then they're not on our phones, we're looking at a TV screen, or many people are. And when I used to live that lifestyle, I just felt kind of checked out. And now I feel like I'm starting to really embrace and live with these natural rhythms, and it affects my health, right? My health has improved. We're eating healthier food, less chemicals because I'm organic. And I think a homestead it can look different for everybody. But I think what is at its core is just that you're getting back to the basics. You're getting back to the land, to nature, and you're trying to get in touch with what is actually happening around you.
Now, you had some Clydesdales when we talked to you last. Do you still have the Clydes there at the farm?
I've increased my herd.
Oh, of course you have.
Yeah. I have 2 Clydesdales, but I've also rescued a Percheron, and I also rescued a Belgian from slaughter down in Texas.
You have a variety pack of draft horses now.
I know, it's like trading cards. Collect them all. You know.
I was partial to Percherons because we had Percherons, so that's what I was partial to. But the Clydes are really cool too. So, are you still using them on the farm?
I am. Yeah. So right now it's a little bit different than it looked before. My main partner, my farming partner, the one that did my pulling for me, he passed unexpectedly. So we replaced him with another Clydesdale. And the Percheron, the Belgian, and the new Clydesdale that came in, they all have pulling experience, but my equipment is very different from what they were used to. And I brought all 3 of those in just last August. And so it's been a learning curve for both me and for them, because they're all some respond to the old Amish commands, some respond to modern day cues, and then my equipment is different. So I'm not at the point where I can just hook them up and go like I was last year. You know, unfortunately, it's slower, but we're getting there. And so, yes, I will absolutely be using them like I used my old guy before.
Yay. So I asked you to do something today. I mean, you've written books. Do you still have a podcast, Homestead Education?
Yeah, it's kind of on the back burner while my co-host navigates some family life. You know, she's got a new one at home. But yeah, it's still around, and we'll be back.
Okay, cool. Well, I asked, everybody listening to this, most of them. Actually, we did a survey recently, and about 60% of them keep their horses at home and have a little farm. Cool. So our listeners are, out there doing their thing. What would you have some tips for them? I think one of the things, I know I'm this way, when I get into something, I tend to overdo it. And I think that's what the new podcasters do. They tend to overdo it. And I'm sure it's true with homesteading. I'm going to go all in. And then, in a year later, they're not all in anymore. I'm sure it's that way. People are people. So do you have some tips for horse people who can get into this gradually?
Sure, I do. I think it kind of depends where you're at when you start homesteading and or incorporating horses, right? You might already have smaller livestock, or maybe horses are the person's first animal. But I have some things that you can do from a homesteading perspective that I prepared to sort of integrate them into like more of a key player, or to have a bigger role in your homestead other than just riding. Do you want me to chat about that real quick?
Let's do it. Yep.
Okay. So one of the coolest things about horses, right, is that they eat a lot, and they can eat a lot very quickly. And so hay can get really expensive. If you live in an area where you have a lot of natural grassy vegetation, like I do, where I'm in the mid-Atlantic on the East Coast, you can divide up your pastures in such a way that you can really reduce your hay bills. So rather than just opening the gate to one large size pasture, break that up into rotational grazing paddocks. And what you're going to end up doing is, even if it's a postage size stamp plot that you're giving the horse to graze, by giving them access to only a small portion at a time, you are going to prolong the grazing forage you have for your horses to feed on. So don't give it to them all at once, because they're going to go through and they're going to pick out their favorite bits. And then they're going to choose another area to be their bathroom spot, right? And then the other spot is going to be the rolling. Decrease the amount of space you give them and move them. Because not only is this going to protect your forage, by the time they get to the last paddock, right, that first one you initially let them in will hopefully be grown back, but it's also going to decrease your parasite load. And it's also going to decrease your dewormers. And so it's overall healthier for the horse, and it's overall going to cut down on your hay costs. So that's all good things.
What do you do with as far as manure management?
So that's something else I was going to talk about that homesteaders and stable managers absolutely need to do, is hot compost. Not just compost, hot composting. So what that means is, ideally, we would take our compost out we would take our manure out of the stable and or pasture, if you have a small space, every single day. Right? Because otherwise we're going to start introducing flies and things that we don't want around our horses. Get it away from the stable. Lots of farms and ranches like to stack up their manure heaps right next to the stable, but you're introducing a ton of fly larvae right next to your horse's living spaces, and then we're combating flies. Take it away. Get it far away from the stable if you can. But then once it gets to a certain height, that's still easy to manage. I like to say, like, let's say a 3 by 3 foot pile, tarp it. You don't have to water it. You don't have to turn it. It does not need to be a hard, difficult composting science. Nature naturally knows how to break things down. Tarp it, and it's going to get so hot, it's going to kill your weed seeds, and it's going to kill fly larvae. When you just cold compost, heat things up without a tarp, it takes a lot longer to break down, and it also doesn't get hot enough that it kills those things off. So now you've got garden gold.
Okay,
that's going
right
to be
there,
ready
I
in a
did
short
not know
amount of
that.
time.
That was brilliant. I did not know that. I've been doing this
Which
show
part?
a long time. I've never heard that before. Do you?
What, the hot compost?
Yeah, with the tarp on top.
Yeah, I can say we've been doing that for a number of years, and it actually works. So love that.
It does.
Yeah.
And it breaks down faster, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the big thing for us is we put the compost into our garden, and then we don't have the weed issue, like you said, which is awesome.
Yes. So many people get frustrated that they're using their horse manure for their garden spaces and their growing spaces, which is an amazing idea, and that's what we want to be doing, but not if it's just been allowed to sit around and break down on its own naturally. That's going to be loaded with grass and weed seeds. So if you go put that quote-unquote cold compost in your garden, you're going to be a grass farmer in no time. You have to hot compost it first. And also your fly counts are going to go down. And your parasite loads are going to go down because you broke down parasitic eggs in that heat hot compost cycle.
Huh. All right, good. I love that.
You approve?
Yes,
you
approve.
of this
Yeah,
tip?
we're going to do that at our new place.
Okay, there you go. All right, so we talked about composting. We talked about making sure that we rotationally graze. Okay, here's another thing that's really fun on the homestead, especially if you have kids. Goldfish in the water trough. Have you heard of it, and do you do it?
We have some listeners that posted pictures just in the last week of goldfish in their water troughs.
Okay, so some people find this to be a little bit controversial, but I've been doing it for 6 years with the exact same goldfish who are now absolutely huge. The trick to doing this is to making sure you have a low quantity of fish in your stock tank. So I only keep 4 goldfish that I just picked up at the local pet shop in a 100-gallon stock tank. And I'm filling that water. That water is well water. It's not chlorinated. But then the other thing is fish aren't just in there for decoration, and they don't keep your trough clean. That seems to be a common myth. What they do is eat mosquito larvae off the top of the water that mosquitoes might lay. So that's going to reduce your mosquito count. And the other thing that they do is they eat fallen bits of hay from the horse's mouth. I do not supplement feed my goldfish. They are incredibly vibrant, huge, and healthy, and they completely survive off of fallen bits of hay. Now, like I said, the reason that I have them is for mosquito larvae, keeping that count down. But here's the thing that's really cool. If you're a gardener and you have a homestead, if you need to clean your water trough, just take a big scoop of water, right? A bucket full, throw the fish in there, drain off that excess water. It's going to have the fish poo in there, which is an amazing source of nutrients for your plants. So you now can take excess water that you would otherwise just dump out when you go to scrub the trough, and you have a huge fertilizer source for crops or even houseplants.
So I love that, but real quick, what happens when it gets really hot or really cold?
Yeah, so when it's hot, it's no problem. Again, it's a 100-gallon stock tank. And especially for me with the 4 drafts, I'm filling that water at least once a day. So they're getting their aeration. There's plenty of bubbles that's happening, but also it's helping to keep that cool. But in the wintertime here, because again, I'm in central New Jersey, my stock tank is out. It's not in my stable, so I drop a stock tank heater in there. And at first when I did that, I thought, is this going to kill my fish? But it's a nice ambient low temperature that keeps them comfortable. And I do not take out my fish in the wintertime. They're happy.
So what's the controversy?
The controversy is some people say a trough is not a proper environment for a fish, and surviving isn't thriving. But if you've seen my goldfish, when I got them 6 years ago to now, they're huge. Their colors are vibrant. I even have a multi-species vet that has looked at them and been like, this is amazing. And he takes pictures. But my argument to all of that is I'm changing their water daily, and they have a huge 100-gallon stock tank. certainly this is bigger and better for them, in my opinion, than a small bowl that you would set on a countertop that would not get changed
Or a
daily.
grubby little water feature that's never been cleaned, and looks terrible.
Correct.
And, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we've all seen those too, where people start out with good intentions and. And did you start with the little fish, like the little 1-inch, 2-inch fish you get at the store?
Yeah, 9 cents. 9 cents a piece.
The thing about goldfish, as any parent knows whose child has won one at the fair, those damn things never die. I don't care what you do to them. They live forever. You're hoping they die in a year, and then they live 10. So
right.
The kid's out of the house by the time that goldfish is dead.
Now, do your horses ever bother the fish? Do the horses ever?
Don't.
Okay.
I have heard some people have said, well, my horse might eat the fish. Now, here's the thing. If you've ever seen a goldfish and approached it in its tank, it swims away from you. It wants nothing to do with you, right? They're scared. They're skittish. So the same thing happens when a horse comes to drink out of the water trough. It just swims right to the bottom. And it's not going to come up again until the shadow from me or the shadow from the horse is gone, at which time then it will start feeding off the fallen hay bits.
All right. Well, this is all the kind of good stuff that you can find in Angela's book, on her podcast. So if somebody wants to find where they can, we'll put links to all this stuff in our show notes as well. I know you have a series for kids too. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, the series for kids and families is called The Little Homesteader. It's a 4-part series. Keep your eyes peeled. There'll be a Christmas edition coming soon. And that's all about no matter where you live. If you have thousands of acres in Montana or you live in a high-rise in New York City, it's about getting in alignment with the seasons, making recipes, crafts, and just little bits of wisdom about living more in alignment with nature. And then, the Sustainable Homestead is my sort of hardcore permaculture, sustainably homesteading book.
And where do you want people to go to find it?
Oh, you can find my books anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, whatever. You could also visit me online at axandroothomestead.com.
All right, very good. I could talk to you all day, and I really want to, because we're actually moving into a new little farm, so I really want to talk to you all day. But Angela, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. I do have, real quick before I go, I do have a quick recipe for homemade fly spray, if anyone would like that before I head out.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so this is what I use on my homestead because I'm chemical-free, and I swear it works, and people have had such success. Spray this on your horses after a workout, when it's hot out, and you might need, depending on the amount they're sweating, you might need to do it twice a day. You can also safely spray this on cattle, sheep, and goats, but it's really intended for horses. So in a spray bottle, or better yet, in a weed sprayer with those pumps, if you have really big horses like I do, put 4 cups of apple cider vinegar. You're going to do 1/8 of a cup of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of dish soap, and then we're going to get into essential oils. You're going to do 20 drops of rosemary, 20 drops peppermint, and then 20 drops of mint, and 20 drops of lavender. Those flies, they head for the hills as soon as you spray that. It works amazingly well, and it's totally safe.
And your horses smell like a flower store.
Very floral and minty.
Yeah, they smell good. No, I love that.
Yeah, right.
Can you do me a favor? Can you email that to me?
Sure.
That recipe, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Because I'll have somebody ask immediately after the show, what was that recipe again? So that sounds wonderful. Well, I'll definitely give that a try.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I'll send it.
All right, thanks a lot. We appreciate it, Angela.
No,
you take care.
I'm happy to be here.
We'll have you back sooner next time.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
Thanks, Glenn.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
I love her. I really do.
Oh, wow. I'm serious. I'm so excited about getting her book.
And you know what? Those tips were great.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Just that, I do want to try the recipe. That's interesting what she put in it.
The
olive oil.
Yeah, we haven't tried that. Yeah.
That's a different one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get to our next guest. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about mounted shooting. But first, I have to tell you about a brand new sponsor of ours, Care Credit. As horse owners, we have an unlimited supply of love for our animals, but we tend to underestimate the cost of their vet care. Routine and unexpected expenses can quickly add up, making it hard to keep pace. Wouldn't it feel great to always be prepared with a budget-friendly way to manage these costs? The Care Credit Health and Animal Care Credit Card can give you the financial peace of mind that you're looking for. With flexible financing from Care Credit, you can get the care your horses needs as well as all the pets in your family. Yes, it's not just horses. And then pay over time in easy monthly payments. You can use Care Credit at more than 25,000 veterinary hospitals that accept the card, and use it to pay for everything from diagnostics to surgery to wellness exams to routine care. Care Credit is your card for a lifetime of care. Subject to credit approval. To learn more, apply at carecredit.com/horses. That's carecredit.com/horses. And don't forget, it applies to your dogs as well.
We are so excited to welcome Elizabeth Gonzalez Tinnan. She's a highly accomplished mounted archer of more than 15 years, and she's president at the Mounted Archery Association of the Americas. And so, Elizabeth, welcome, because I think this is something that I know a lot of our listeners are very interested in, as I am. So how did you get into mounted archery?
Oh, well, I never knew that it existed that you could shoot a bow off of a horse. And I actually had no interest in archery at the time, but I loved horses and I loved riding. And two of the ladies that I was at the same barn with in Georgia went down to Florida and took a clinic and came back showing everybody what they had learned you could do. And then that barn started a club, and then it grew from there, and I started a club, and then I started teaching because I had no one else to do it with, and it's kind of snowballed and then took over my entire life in the best way possible.
Wow. Well, that's just absolutely amazing that it started that way. And you have gone on. It is but to become one of the best mounted archers in the entire country. And so that's pretty cool. So you had a video from Mayhem on the Mountain that went viral. So can you tell us about that and why you think the video was so popular?
Oh, well, it was an amazing hunt course. So the hunt course is just one facet of competition that we do at our national events. And it's my favorite because it's just you and the horse out there having to make split-second decisions. And you have to be able to communicate with the horse really well so they know where you need them to go. And so you can do it safely. And I just think that it is thrilling and exhilarating and exciting, and people just don't know about it. Enough about it. So they see it and they're shocked that someone's doing that, especially here in the US. And I think that contributed to it. Plus Probably. It was fun. I was shooting at zombies and all kinds of orcs and really cool things in the woods.
Yeah. It was a great video. I watched it. So like if I want to get started and I know nothing about archery at all, and as Glenn said, I almost killed myself in high school trying to just shoot the bow, forget the horse component. I couldn't even get the arrow to leave the bow, except for it landing on my foot. But how does somebody like me get started?
Okay, well, if you want to get started with me, you can come to our facility here in Lewisburg, Tennessee, or I can teach clinics in your area. I teach all over the country. Otherwise, you can also look on the website for Mounted Archery Association of the Americas, Mounted.org. And on that, there is a map of clubs and instructors across the country that offer lessons and training. So you find an instructor. Ground archery is not suitable for mounted archery. The things that you can do on the ground, you can't necessarily do on the horse, but what you can do on the horse, you can do anywhere. So it's important that when you learn with the correct equipment and with somebody that's teaching with the mindset that you will be shooting off of a horse so that you're safe and you have the correct muscle memory to make it all come together on the back of a horse when you really need to be instinctive about things and not have to think too hard about it. But I would say that it's really possible for anyone. I have students that have never ridden a horse before that are now competing at the canter and national competition because they had dedicated step-by-step training on really good horses, and it allowed them to not have to think so much about the horse,
Right. So back in the day, I competed a lot in a competition called Egg and Spoon, where you keep the egg on the spoon, et cetera, et cetera. I had the most fabulous horse for that. And she listened to the announcer, and I just trusted her. Whatever she did, I knew the announcer asked us to do it. I didn't have to think about it. I just had to concentrate on my egg,
Right.
So what kind of horse makes a really good mounted archery mount?
Well, we have riders that have horses across all breeds and all disciplines. So almost any horse can be a good horse for mounted archery, but the ideal horse is a horse that waits for you. A horse that isn't constantly asking to go faster, or constantly asking what's next, or hypersensitive to cues, because you need to be able to set them. They need to maintain gait and maintain direction. That's the first thing that I work with my horses on, is maintaining gait and maintaining direction. If I ask you to walk in this direction, I want you to keep walking in that direction until the end of the earth, or I tell you otherwise.
Right.
And once they figure that out, you can do it on just about any horse. But there are courses where it's desirable to go slower and shoot more versus going really fast and shooting fewer arrows.
Got it.
So, a versatile horse.
Yes, absolutely. So what kind of training do you put the horses through?
Well, I do a lot of, like I said, working with them on maintaining gait and maintaining direction. And essentially, my horses are bridleless horses. I just have the bridle on them. And they don't become that way by never using the reins. So I'm just really clear with my horses about where I want them to go and what I want them to do. And I'm patient, but I just try to be as consistent as possible in how I ride them. When I turn left, I don't just turn their head with the reins. I turn with my whole body, and I ride them where I want them to go. And they really pick up on it very quickly. But honestly, a horse that'll just keep going straight until you turn them, without a significant amount of, fine-tuned training, can be utilized just as well as a horse that can ride with your mind.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. And then what about you? I mean, do you need like a lot of upper body strength and balance to manage all of that?
So, yeah, obviously balance is important because you are trying to stabilize yourself above a moving object while you're shooting. But you don't have to have an incredible amount of upper body strength. People are intimidated by pulling the bow back, but I have bows in my lesson equipment that are 10 pounds. And those arrows hit the target. They don't fly as fast and they don't fly as flat over a longer distance, but you're still able to use them. And we're not trying to win wars doing this. We just want to have fun. We want the arrows to stick in the target, and we want our horses to enjoy their job.
And then how much target practice do you do, like without the horse, or do you suggest somebody who is new at this do before they even get on the horse?
Well, if you're talking a class to get started, we spend about 2 hours on the ground, 2 to 3 hours on the ground, learning the archery and safety and loading technique before we bring the horses in. As a general rule of thumb, when you're new to this, you've already learned how to shoot and loading style and everything. It's not a bad idea to shoot every day on the ground. As I've progressed through this, the amount of training that I do on the ground has unfortunately taken a backseat to the amount of traveling that I do. So I'm not the best example in that aspect, but I'm constantly teaching people and shooting to demonstrate for them. So I do get in a lot of shooting. But it's important that you don't shoot past the point of physical fatigue or discomfort, because then you can't convince your body to do it the same once it doesn't feel good.
Right.
So, and what we're trying to develop is muscle memory and consistent muscle memory with consistent form so that you can shoot accurately off the back of the horse. At the same time, when you start shooting at faster than a walk, you can no longer shoot directly at the target because your arrows are experiencing drag. And basically, you're traveling forward at a certain rate of speed. Your arrow is also traveling that direction at that same rate of speed. Then you shoot it, and the wind catches the feathers and turns the arrow also in the direction of travel. So they essentially drift off the target.
Oh my
So you
goodness.
have to lead the target And you can only get good at that by practicing it on horseback.
Oh, I'm sure. So is there I know you've competed a ton and you've set a couple of world records which I want to talk to about next, but is there a shot in competition that you never thought you'd make? You're coming up to it and you think, I'm never going to make this, and you did?
I mean, I feel like that kind of a lot.
Every time she goes out.
Oh my gosh, listen, every arrow in the target is a blessing. And that's not a surprise. I do have shots where I'm absolutely like, yes, I'm going to nail it. And I do. And it's exactly what I thought it would be. But then there's also times where I'm like, I'm going to nail this. And then I miss it completely. Because it's such a dynamic and constantly changing thing. There is not one. It's almost impossible to completely recreate the same shot because your circumstances change. The wind direction changes, the speed of your horse changes, the height of your horse changes. Yeah. I mean, there are just so many things that are constantly evolving and never staying as they were. So there are courses that we do on a straight track where the targets are essentially in the same place all the time. There are variations of where those targets might be, but it's easy to replicate. That's as close as you can get to doing something the same multiple times. But even in that, the conditions change. So I feel like, yes, I do say I'm going to nail it, and then I don't. And then sometimes I'm like, there's no way, and then I'm shocked. And a lot of times I think it's the really long distance shot on the hunt course that I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get this, and then it hits it. Because it's everything in mounted archery is in meters and centimeters. So our large target for the hunt course is 122 centimeters, but it's a minimum of 30 meters away.
Wow, that's a long way. And so you have set a couple of world records doing all of this. So can you tell us about that and what it felt like when you won? I mean, what a great experience. Oh, yeah.
So you're never at the top long. You're always you're not at the top longer than you're at the top. So anytime that you meet or exceed a record, it's an incredible feeling. But every single thing has to come together perfectly. The horse has to be exactly where you want it. You have to be exactly where you need to be. The conditions need to be favorable for you. And you can't make any mistakes. You can't make a single mistake in your loading. Grabbing the arrow, you can't grab it incorrectly. Your timing has to be perfect. So it's like, it's almost like I go into a Zen state when I'm running and shooting. And the rest of the world around me just melts away and disappears. And all I see is my horse and the target and the track that we're running on. And I'm able to only focus on those things.
Wow.
Which is nice because in everyday life, I have a million things that I'm focusing on all at once.
As we all do.
Yes,
Right.
Now, before we let you go, where can people find out more about you? Do you have a Facebook page or a website?
I do. You can look me up on Facebook, but I also have a website. It is called horsearchery.info. Okay. And then our national organization, the website, mount.org. You can find all kinds of information on that.
You broke up a little bit. Give that one again.
mountedarchery.org.
Okay, great. It's funny. I have a friend who's Tammy Strantz, who's a world champion mounted shooter many times over. And she always says, I can't shoot on the ground. I can't hit a target if I'm standing still. So
listen, I feel that 100%. It's taken me a long time to develop my consistent accuracy on the ground. And I'll tell you what's funny. If you go back and watch that video in California, I'm nailing targets all the way up until we get to the walk and shoot part. And the first time that I shoot at the walk and shoot target, I miss it because my brain and my body is calibrated to lead the target. But then when you stop and shoot, you don't point the bow in the same place because the arrow is no longer drifting off the target.
We'll put a link to it twice. I know the videos had a ton of views, and we'll put a link to it too in our show notes. So if anybody hasn't seen it, it's a point of view video of her riding the ride through the woods and shooting the targets and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So definitely check that out. Elizabeth, you've been great. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Recharge your training program with Equestrian Plus. Equestrian Plus brings together top riders, trainers, and professionals onto one video platform. Watch over 5,000 how-to training videos, clinic and event footage, exclusive training sessions, and more featuring top experts including 5-time dressage Olympian Stefan Peters, 5-time Olympic show jumper Ann Krasinski, Olympic eventer and silver medalist William Fox Pitt, and more. Join Equestrian Plus now and use promo code HRN15 for 15% off your first month. Visit EquestrianPlusPLUS.com to subscribe.
If you ain't met one by now, you're bound to sooner or later. He says one thing and he means another, but hey, he can't help it. He's a horse trader. Horse trading. Well, it's a laissez-faire. Let the buyer beware. Horse trading. They tell a low-down lie with a sincere stare. Horse trading. Well, if they're talking in circles and the deal ain't square, he's a master in the fine art of persuading. Horse trading.
That's right. It is time for Really Bad Ads, that time of the week when listeners submit ads and from Facebook and Craigslist, and we just have a little bit of fun with them. The prizes that we give away every month to people who do submit are provided by HorseLovers.com, home to over 120,000 horse products for you, your horse, and your barn. This month, we have a couple of Kensington products. The first one is a Kensington fly mask made with plush fleece trim and ears and made with the strongest material on the market today, textiline, and is the absolute best way to protect your horse. It is formulated to withstand fading, soiling, wear and tear, and is mildew and fire resistant and offers 73% UV protection. And the second one is the Kensington Slow Feed Hay Bag, and that is perfect for home or on the road. It's a 2-inch by 2-inch mesh netting that slows down their eating, aids in digestion, and contributes to overall health. And it's just made to take with you. It's made of that same material that I just talked about. And actually, the material itself is made in Alabama, and this whole thing is made in the USA. Love Kensington products. They're some of the toughest products out there. And, you know, all back to the time when we used to have our tack shop, Kensington was known for quality. So, and also really cool patterns. So
yes, and we actually have that fly mask that you described, and it's great. Yes, it's great.
If you get a fly mask that lasts more than a week, you're doing good. So,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And our little quarter horse is white, and he has this huge pink nose, and it just does the best job of keeping him from being sunburned. So, we love it.
And we don't always get to everybody's because we get so many ads, but you are counted and you are put in the hat for the drawing at the end of the month to win the prizes. And this week we're not getting to Lynn, Michelle, Jolene, Electra, and Taylor. And you have the first one up.
I do. This one was submitted by Steph Pestka, and it says Minnesota horses. This is so appropriate for me, Glenn, because I'm right here in Minnesota.
I gave you that one.
Thank you. It says, 5-year-old unbroke stud Ken Glad, but would make beautiful babies, Perham, Minnesota, $700. And so, I don't know, Glenn, this horse looks to be smaller than Scooter.
Yeah, he's a mini. That's a mini.
It has to be. He is kind of cute. I'll give him that. He's got a lot of
hair.
Mane hair. Yes. a lot of Fabio hair going on.
I want to know what Ken Glad means.
Ken Glad, yeah. I'm sure it's Geld, but...
Well, he's a stud. He's just very happy. He's a happy stud.
He's a happy stud, yeah. Yes, he looks very happy.
He does, yeah. If you can, you can't see his face at all. The hair is so long. It's so
long. No, but he's a cutie.
How does he see anything when he walks around?
I don't know. I just want to get my little braiding fingers out, and help him out some.
And let's just remind everybody, spay, neuter, and geld. Yes. So Janelle sent this one in. It's Sand Hills Equestrians. I don't know where that is. We talked about this last week. Last week, none of the ads had punctuation, like none of them. And we determined that apps now must be charging for punctuation, and that's the reason that people don't use any. That's what we've determined. It's like
an extra character.
Yeah, it's like $1 for a period. Do you remember, like in the old days when you used to put ads in the newspaper?
Yes.
In the section in the back, they charge you by the word.
Yeah, or by the character sometimes.
That's true, yeah.
Yes.
So that's what this must be now. We're getting back to that, and that's the reason people don't use punctuation.
I don't know. It makes it hard to understand, for sure.
All right, well, I'll try. This is a tough one. I have a couple of horses looking to get rid of if anyone is interested. Quarter horses gelding and a mare. My 12-year-old rides and my mare everywhere. And gelding, I would put any kid on him. He's a big babysitter. Will go. If you want him to, though, shoot me a message or call. Thanks, gelding, around 16.1 HH and around 16 years old. Or so, mare is around 12 to 13 years. I think she might be 14.3 HH. I used to keep everything up to date, but we quit riding, and my kids want to do something different now. Thanks.
Holy cow.
Whew, that was a paragraph.
That was a lot of error.
No punctuation.
Oh my goodness.
Bought the ponies for the kids, and the kids are done. They're on to boys and they're on to boyfriends, and that's it. We're out.
That's it. They're just done.
Mom wants these horses gone.
Yes. But here's the thing. I don't see any pictures in this ad, so it's kind of hard to gauge whether or not she's accurate or not.
And if she had punctuation, I might be able to tell which horse was which, but I'm confused. So
this is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah. Yeah. It's my head spinning on that one. Okay.
Here's another one from Minnesota.
Yes, another one from Minnesota from Charity. She sent this one in. Love this one. 10 to 12-year-old Appy, 13.5 hands. Park Rapids, Minnesota, willing to travel for the right home. Pros, loads great. Low on pecking order. Rides alone or with a group. Sound, no maintenance. Cons, moves around while being saddled. Impatient when mounting. Can be hard to catch without grain. Asking mid... Or will consider trade for something taller, must be broke.
This is a classic. I got my unbroke horse that you can't ride because you can't get on it, and I want to trade it for your perfect horse.
Exactly.
Let's do that.
Exactly.
And
taller, perfect horse.
And not only that, we got a 10 to 12-year-old Appy that's a bit of a problem, let's be honest. And they want mid, and it's XXX, 4Xs. So they want like $5,000 for this.
Yes, exactly. And it says 13 and a half hands, which really means that this is a POA, a pony.
Yes.
But if that's true, but somebody who says 13.5, I think can't measure anyway.
I wonder if people, when they write that, mean 13 and a half.
I'm sure they do, 13.2 probably,
yeah.
But
that's still a pretty tiny pony.
That's not a big pony.
That's Scooter size, yeah.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
I wish I could get $5,000 for Scooter, but he's not going
anywhere.
No.
Yeah. Scooter's like 50,000.
That's right, 100,000.
Yes.
Right. And if anybody wants it for 100,000, I'd consider that actually.
No, you wouldn't. You would not.
Diane sent this one in. 11-year-old BLM Mustang mare, up to date on shots and teeth. Broke at the walk. Super calm. Could probably do lead line. Lazy as hell. Stands for farrier. Leads, ties, stands to be tacked and mounted. Exact opposite of the horse we had above.
Exactly.
I'd scared of the trailer, but buyer is welcome to approach that however they like. Has sweet itch. I'm quitting horses and don't have a desire to own my own anymore. Boy, that's a trend today. Now we have the theme of the day. I'm get rid of this thing. I don't care. I can't load it. I can't touch it. As sweet itch, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Doesn't want to deal with it. No. And so, you can do lead line, but you can't get the horse in the trailer to get to the lead line competition.
Correct. Yes.
This is what I get out of that.
It's a bit of a problem. Yes.
Yes. Well, good luck with that. Okay. Jillian sent this one. Anyone else see the irony here? So the description of this horse trailer is, my business purchased a retro horse trailer a couple years back and turned it into a dog treat trailer used as an auxiliary service by my dog daycare facility. No longer in need of selling dog treats on the side. So here's the picture of the trailer. It's actually a little cute, sort of. It says coffee trailer potential, $5,750. It's a black trailer. It actually has tires. It's got a little treat thing on top with a little paw print of a dog.
But it's the 2-horse rounded trailer that we see every week. Yeah, it doesn't have rust, but they want $5,700 for this.
$50 for this, yes. And, it doesn't really have the windows, just has the open spaces. And
your dog treats are going to get wet if it rains. In this one.
Yes, and so will the people probably. But
I do see the irony, by the way, Jillian. I do get the irony of having the dog treats in a trailer. I get the irony.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
You have the next one, too.
I do. Caitlin sent this one in. Oh, thank you, Glenn, for sending me this one.
There's a reason I gave you this one.
Yeah, okay. Okay, this is long. Okay. The big, the mighty, the goat of all time, Tootsie Pop. If you want a pony that has the same confidence of a man that just mowed straight lines in his yard after a few too many beers, look no further. This proud and majestic gelding stands a thick, I said thick, not fat, 35 inches tall at the wither. Tootsie Pop is 12 years old and fought the good fight being a reliable Amish pony until his owners decided they no longer were about that lifestyle. It was probably
they quit the Amish lifestyle? Is that what they're saying?
I think that's what they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She says it was probably the 103-degree day with no air conditioning that did them in, if you ask me.
There you go.
He will tote any screaming toddler around, regardless if that screams of joy or screams of temper tantrum. Tootsie just plugs along. Doesn't bat an eye. He'll ride independently, lead line, and with or without a saddle. No buck, rear, bolt, or anything like that will make a small child fly through the air like a not-so-graceful butterfly. Tootsie Pop will come plodding right up to the gate for you to give him attention. He will stuff his nose right in a halter and march out to face whatever terrifying scenario has his small human, whatever they will hand him. I don't like to use the term bomb-proof, but I don't know if he would be bothered by even a firecracker stuck up his rear end. This guy knows his stuff. Wonderful little man to be groomed. He will cross-tie all day, pick up his feet, never get grumpy about small hands prodding him. Easy to bridle up and tack up as well. Will gladly follow alongside an ATV Power Wheels or be ponied. Traffic safe, cool with dogs and cats, good with goats, fine with cattle, and also fine with mares and geldings. Gets along with the big horses too. Let's be honest. He probably has foundered in the past.
I was waiting. All this ad, you know it's coming in the last paragraph.
For it. But his sounds bump around. I would recommend a muzzle or a dry lot for this dude, or like crappy pasture. I think anyone can get along with this kind man. If he can survive my farm, he can survive any farm.
This does sound like my first pony that taught me to drive that I got at the auction in New Holland for $90. And he was an Amish pony, and it was just like this. Could go anywhere, do anything, didn't matter. He was bomb-proof. We took him, for God's sake, we had a carriage ride with a group. We had a group back then that used to go out together, and it'd be 30, 40 carriages. We went into Philadelphia in the city. I would never forget this. Traffic everywhere, and we're in the left-hand turn lane at a stoplight to get into the park. It was a traffic going everywhere, and that pony didn't do anything. And then we had a ride that went through. It was a little amusement park right outside of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and the rides were still running at that time. And we drove. We did our carriage parade right through the park with the Ferris wheels going and the roller coaster riding, and didn't flinch.
Wow. So whatever happened to him?
Lived to about 40 plus on our farm. And then had a stroke one day. Yep. I drove that pony. And it was 35 or 36.
Wow.
So, yeah, she was a great pony.
I love that.
Yep. Casey sent this one in. Cowboy Special. 4-year-old done gelding. Just came home 90 days training. 14H, built like a tank. The good. A lot of good and bad today. The good, grade quarter horse. Rides, has a good handle. Loads, ties, has manners. Puppy dog. No kick or bite. Sound. Had him since he was a yearling. Looks good for days. Going to be a hell of a horse to the right person. The bad. He's not a hell of a horse for me. No, I'm just kidding. The bad. He will ride out nice all day long. Next day might throw you. Depends on the day. And boy, can he buck and get out from under you. Need a big kid. You need to have your big kid pants on. Phew. Well, they went through all of that, and this was the end.
Yes.
He's a cowboy special kind of horse. Kids, husbands, grannies can't ride him. Experienced rider only kind.
Yeah.
We've all had that horse, too. Ours was named Chip. He was an Appaloosa, and he would be great. He would be the most terrific horse, but once every trail ride, he'd duck. He didn't buck. He didn't do anything. He just ducked out from under you, and you were on the ground.
You know, I had years and years ago, I had this Appaloosa mare in training named Swamp Witch. We changed her last name to a B sometimes because she was a saddle seat mare, and I won my first world championship on her. But in the warm-up arena, if she did not dump me in the warm-up arena, she'd dump me in the middle of the class.
So you tried to get it over with in the arena? Do it now?
To get it
Do
over
it in the
with, yes.
practice arena?
Yes, and it got to be kind of a thing where everybody would come watch the arena to see if I get dumped. Yeah, there are those horses.
I'm sure there's some Appaloosas out there that don't dump people, but
I'm sure there are.
Our experience is the ones that did.
We have one, and he's fabulous.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
So, okay, Carrie sent this one in. Just turned 2-year-old draft cross quarter horse Frosty Buckskin stud colt. He had
there's a lot going on in that sentence.
I want to see that photo, really. I do. He had one ride, WTL dome on that ride, didn't offer to buck with rider or saddle. He's a little spooky at people, but warms up real quick, never offered to bite or kick at me, and he stands tied good and pastures well with other horses. Not sure what type of draft he's out of. Flat Rock, Alabama.
There you go. Flat Rock, and get yourself a draft horse that this person knows nothing about.
That knows nothing about him. No. And he's
only 2.
I know.
I know. This one.
I think he's cute. I think Jamie should take him.
Draft Frosty Buckskin Stud Colt. Again, spayed or gelded to kind of help that spooky thing a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. We really do appreciate it. We hope you have a safe weekend. Everybody in Texas looks like you're going to get wet, so get your umbrellas out. You're going to need them down there. And everybody else, stay cool as you can. Don't overdo it. It is hot everywhere. Is it hot where you are up there in the north?
Actually,
Great North?
No, it's nice. I just hate to say that. It's about 77 today and partly cloudy and nice.
Oh, I hate you.
So, yeah. Yeah.
I do hate you right now.
I know. Everybody hates me. I didn't want to say.
We'll be back on Monday, everybody. Lisa will be back with me. Jamie will be heading home from the service on Monday. So thanks, Lisa.
Bye.